request everyone to be seated. Good morning, everyone. Ellargu suswagatam. I am Dr. Anjali, leading the data practice with 4baseCare. It's my great honor to welcome you all on behalf of 4baseCare family to the official inauguration of our new precision oncology lab here at 4baseCare, a facility that symbolizes hope, progress, and power of science to transform lives. It's not just the opening of a lab, it's the beginning of a new chapter with a shared goal to offer every individual the best possible chance to fight against this deadly disease. Through advanced genomic testing and precision medicine, now we have the tools to move beyond one-size-fits-all approach in oncology. Today, we are deeply honored to have with us Mr. Narayan Murthy, sir. Padma Vibhushan Sri Narayan Murthy needs no introduction. He has built Infosys into a global benchmark for quality, ethics, and innovation. Sir, you are a timeless source of inspiration across generations, and thank you for joining us today here. Our esteemed guests, Mr. Rajan Anandan, a managing director of Peak XP and Search, a leading venture capital firm in India and Southeast Asia. He is managing over 400 active companies and deeply focused on Surge, which is developing as the world's top seed platform for the startups. Mr. Ganapathy Subramaniam, a founding managing partner at Yali Capital and a steadfast guide to the 4baseCare family. Mr. Sharif Kottapurat, managing partner of Mount Judy Ventures. And equally warm welcome to all our collaborators, friends, well-wishers, and 4baseCare family members. Now I am inviting all the dignitaries and the 4baseCare founders, Hitesh Goswami and Kshitij Rishi, to come forward for the lamp lighting. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. May Lord Dhanvantri bless us, every one of us, with a good health. Now I invite our amazing founder and a 4baseCare powerhouse, Mr. Hitesh Goswami, to deliver the welcome address and taking us through the 4baseCare journey till today.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anjali. Good morning and a warm welcome to all of you from me and from the entire 4baseCare team. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Uh, we are very excited about the day today, and in fact, we are live streaming it so that those who could not join us today, including our team from other locations like Bangladesh, Nepal, Philippines, Dubai, and Jammu, could be part of the celebration with us. Uh, talking about Jammu, unfortunately today, Professor Dr. Shakti Gupta, CEO of AIMS Jammu, was not able to travel and would not be able to present here with us today, but he has sent his blessings and we are going to miss him. What I would like to start today is a single line, very simple line. Every cancer has a story, right? You have seen this while you were walking here on the wall in the corridor. We have this in all our labs in Nepal, in Dubai, in Philippines, in Jammu. Basically, we have spread this sentence far and wide. Every cancer has a story which is written in the DNA of the tumor tissue, a story which is shaped by clinical insights, a story which is influenced by every patient's biology, environment, and cancer journey. But not every story is heard, especially if it is of the patients from regions, demographics, and ethnicities which are underrepresented in global cancer research. This leads to scarce data, limited insights, and also lack of outcomes in the algorithms which drives today's modern precision oncology. We want to change that narrative. We want to change that narrative today, here, now. And that's what we are going to do with launch of our Global Cancer Diversity Atlas. And again, I would like to welcome all of you for this. Now, we say why this data is important, right? It's because we are living in the era of precision medicine, which is driven by data. If you look at traditional treatment on the left-hand side, earlier as an oncologist, I would need to know where the cancer is, what stage the cancer is, right? And based on that, I would start my treatment. So say if I have 100 lung cancer stage 2 patient, all of them would get the same treatment. Now, we are into the era where one size does not fit all. Today, advancement in technology like genomics and data science is allowing us to read every patient's tumor, understand its biology, and plan the treatment based on that. We are in the era where a lung cancer stage 2 patient can be stratified into 15 different groups, and each group, the treatment would be different, the drug use would be different, and the outcomes would be much better for the cancer patients. But as I mentioned earlier, the biggest challenge that we are facing in our region is that this data is not available. And that is something, that's the narrative that we want to change. In the last 6.5 years, we have worked tirelessly in collaboration with some of the leading oncologists, technology providers to generate this data. And with this data, we are not just impacting patients' lives today, we are also building the solutions for tomorrow, which will change the way cancer patients are treated. Just like to show an impact on what we can do today. So we developed world's first Indian population-specific cancer gene panel. So first panel where it is based on the data on a specific population. Generally, most of these panels are used, so there will be panel which is made by an MNC in US that would be used across all the regions, all the populations. This is the first time we have developed something very, very special. I'll just show you power of it. So we had this patient from Bangladesh, a patient having salivary gland cancer, parotid cancer, what we call, and he was on chemotherapy for 1 year. The patient was progressing, the treatment was not working. That's when the doctor decided that, can I get more information about this patient, which might help me to take a better decision on the treatment. The patient sample was sent to us, and we did the complete work flow of the lab. I'll not get into those details. But important thing over here is to see that the patient had tumor mutation burden score of 5.6. Now, this is important, and this will tell you why population-specific data is important. Tumor mutation burden as a biomarker is approved by FDA. If the score is more than 10 in any solid cancer, a patient would be eligible for immunotherapy. Less than 10 is considered low, more than 10 is considered high. Now, when we looked at our data, and this patient falls into head and neck category, 5.6, although it is low as per the global standards, but it was falling at 90th percentile. Only 10% of the patients, head and neck cancer patient, had TMB score of more than 5.6, right? For us, it is high, especially in head and neck cancer case, it's not low. And since the patient was not responding to the standard treatment, and doctor discussed with the family, said that based on the research, we feel immunotherapy might work. And the patient was put on combination of immunotherapy and chemotherapy. This was the response in 2 months' time. And this was in May 2022. And very happy to say, just 6 months back, our colleague in Bangladesh had met the patient, met the family. The patient is in complete remission. This is the power of genomics. This is the power of precision oncology. This is where we are. But today, genomics is fairly used, not for every patient, but if we see in the next 5 years, this is going to become a standard of care. And genomics data in itself is not going to be enough. We need more multimodal information from the data. We are in the era where we have generative AI, we have agentic AI. We today have stories of almost 17,000 cancer patients, just like the parotid cancer patient that we had. And how do we tell this story to the world? How do we use technology? How do we use deep tech to say these stories to the world so that better decisions can be taken? We have already started working on something which is very, very exciting called OncoTwin Insight. So now, when a sample comes to us, we don't just generate the genomic data. We take the genomic data, we take specific clinical parameters, and we generate first level digital twin of a new cancer patient. So here, see Rajesh Kumar, it is name changed, is a new cancer patient who had come to us. We would have the complete digital map and a digital twin made of Mr. Rajesh Kumar. But this is not enough. Rajesh Kumar's story is similar to who? Which patient story, right? We now run our twin match algorithm where we can search for twins and find out which patients had similar clinical genomic score based on these parameters. And now we can deep dive into individual patient to see what kind of treatment had worked. So say with Mr. Rajesh Kumar patient X, where the CG score is 8.6, we know what kind of a treatment had worked. Now our vision over the next couple of years is to scale up our efforts in terms of the kind of database that we are making, with which we have started by having multiple labs across various regions. We started with the lab in Bangalore. Now we have 2 labs in India, one in Bangalore, one in AIIMS Jammu. We have a lab in Dubai. Just last week, we inaugurated our lab in Philippines that will allow us to work with patients in the Southeast Asian region, and also a lab in Nepal. Jammu lab was very exciting for us from the public-private partnership perspective, where we can make it accessible to many of the patients, where we are able to give this test at a subsidized cost and maybe making it more accessible to patients coming in the government hospitals. In addition to that, very proud to say this is something very, very special, where we are part of this Lungs Alliance program. We are exclusive lab which has been selected to give lung cancer patient free genomic profiling, where patient does not have to pay a single penny for doing this test, and they get access to the molecular information. Their doctor get access to molecular information, and then they can take the treatment. This is really helping us go to the parts of the countries where earlier genomic was not being used. In just last 2 months, we have seen samples coming from Jammu and Kashmir, from Chandigarh, from remote part of Rajasthan, from the places that we had never got any samples for genomic testing. Uh, of course, it does not happen alone. We have been very lucky to have got some of the best minds in the world guiding us in our effort. Of course, we were backed by Illumina Accelerator, the first company from Asia Pacific which Illumina selected for the Accelerator program. Now also funded by Infosys Innovation Fund and Yali Capital, where they have a deep tech focus. In addition to that, we have Mr. Libbutan, CEO of Intel, who's part of our advisory board. We have Francis D'Souza, former CEO of Illumina, present COO of Google Cloud, who is on our advisory board. And of course, fantastic George Church. Many of you don't know him, but he's father of synthetic biology. His current pet project is resurrection of woolly mammoth using CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing technology. So he's been with us right from 2019 when we just were at the idea stage, right? So this guidance is very helpful to us. Finally, if there's one message that I would want everyone in this room to leave is that every cancer has a story and it deserves to be told. At 4baseCare, we are telling that story through data, through insights, and we are trying to see how we can build an inclusive foundation for precision oncology in the future. Thanks from everyone at 4baseCare. Thank you again for coming.
I think having a legend like Narayan Murthy sir around itself makes a great inspiration for each and every individual, I guess. Thank you, Praveen, for conducting this wonderful dialogue with Dr. Shakuntala. Now we move forward. In our pursuit of creating solutions for Indian population, and you saw Hitesh mentioned about the indigenous panel, Target Indigene, which is based on Indian patient data and basically for Indian patients. We have come a long way now. Today, with thousands of patients in our database, we are proud to launch Global Cancer Diversity Atlas. May I request Narayan Murthy sir? I request Narayan Murthy sir to launch 4baseCare's Cancer Diversity Atlas. It represents a diverse yet inclusive, cross-border yet cohesive, non-Caucasian database.
The global cancer burden is overwhelming. 20 million new cancer cases, 9.7 million cancer deaths worldwide, and the expected rise in the number of new cases to 29.9 million by 2040. We can be sure of one thing: cancer does not discriminate, but cancer does. decades, the research landscape has lacked true global representation. This has left critical gaps in understanding and treatment outcomes. Introducing the Global Cancer Diversity Atlas. The GCDA is the first of its kind initiative to map and amplify genomic and clinical diversity in oncology. Built through global collaboration, responsible data use, and a commitment to equity. This atlas unites data from across continents, communities, and cancer types. Researchers, clinicians, and policymakers can now access structured, inclusive data to drive more AI-driven personalized care. Together, we move from data gaps to data equity. The Global Cancer Diversity Atlas. Because every cancer is a story, and we give it a voice.
Thank you, sir, for inaugurating. It's one of its kinds of cancer data based on the non-Caucasian patient population. Currently, we are at 17,000 plus and counting every day to add to this diverse pool of multidimensional and multimodal data set. Thank you, sir, for doing this. It's not every day that we get to hear a giant like Narayan Murthy, sir. And now I invite Mr. Rajan to come forward, and we will hear both the giants about deep tech and entrepreneurship and other.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. First of all, it's wonderful to see all of you here. And truly an honor, Mr. Murthy, to spend some time with you in a chat. I'm going to ask a few questions. But before we start, I wanted to congratulate the 4baseCare team, I think, for the company that they're building. You know, listening to a patient who has been impacted by the products and the technologies that you have built are just truly inspiring. So thank you to the founders, but also I think I'm assuming like at least half the room is your team here. We should give them a big round of applause for the amazing work that they're doing. So Mr. Murthy, I'm going to focus on industry, company, and then your thoughts on Indian deep tech. So starting with the industry, you know, 4baseCare is a great example of what India is beginning to see in life sciences. This is a very new industry for us. I was just with the BIRAC team. They launched their 100th BIRAC incubator. We have several thousand life sciences companies. But you know, you pioneered, you and the team at Infosys pioneered the IT services industry. I think this year is going to be 45 years after you founded Infosys, 1981, 2025. And 44 years later, rather, 2 out of the top 5 and 5 out of the top 10 companies globally in IT services are Indian. We have an industry now that generates over $200 billion of export revenue for India, and in every way has formed the foundation of what is so special about modern India, which is all this technical talent and incredible young people. So I wanted to sort of, you know, there were so many things that Infosys as well as other companies did to create that industry. And I think for the founders of 4baseCare plus, you know, their team, what is it that they can learn about, you know, 4baseCare will be very successful if the life sciences industry from India is successful, right? So I'd love to, Mr. Murthy, get your thoughts on, as you think back over the last 40 years, what made Indian IT services this incredible powerhouse it is, and especially lessons that maybe we could translate to an industry, life sciences from India?
Well, first of all, Rajan, it's always a pleasure and a privilege to spend some time with you. We all know that you are the person who brought Google to India. And Google has played a very important role. It plays every day. Today, I don't think any of us can drive without a Google map anyway. And of course, later on, you started the 10,000 entrepreneur stuff. You played a very important role in NASCOM, all of that. And on the 4baseCare thing, it was very uplifting to see a set of high aspiration, idealistic, intelligent, out of the box thinking people who are trying to solve a very important problem. I think it is these people that bring confidence to me about our country. It is these people that are going to make India strong. It is these people that are going to make India healthier, all of that. So I'm very, very grateful to them. Now, coming to what is it that 4baseCare can do in some way to become much bigger. They're already very big in terms of impact of what they're doing. You know, the very fact that we all heard Dr. Shakuntala, that's a proof of the criticality of 4baseCare. Whether it's Hitesh, Kshitji, and others, these are the people that we should salute. These are the people that we should cheer. The most important thing is, first of all, they're collecting diversity data for cancer patients, for oncological patients. This diversity is very important. But there are certain things that we can adopt from the global best practices. And they would be, first thing would be to make sure that their valuable work is better known in the population. That's where I do think that developed societies can help us, help 4baseCare to become better and better known at lower and lower costs. Because unless people know the power of your idea, we won't even use your extraordinary work. The second thing, I'm sure you're already doing it, and that is making sure you're well connected insurance companies, with all the insurance companies, so that people do not have to pay the required sum to avail of your extraordinary value. This, again, there is a lesson that you people can learn from the developed world. How best to cover, to connect with insurance companies, what are the methodologies that reduce our cost, etc. The third thing is, in some way, to invite, I don't know how many government people are in this.
Anybody from government? Okay, we've got up one hand.
I'm very happy that there is a person. It is very, very important that the public governance system understands the power of your idea, the value that it brings to the poor sick. First of all, I have seen my relatives who were unfortunate to go through the cancer. Fortunately, they came through that. So there's a certain level of anxiety. And add to that poverty. This is not a great combination. Therefore, this is where I do believe that the public governance system should go out of their way to make sure that the patients in various villages, in various Mofussil areas throughout the country come to know the power of what you are doing. And then in some way make the process of the insurance companies reducing the hassles for you to get the payment. Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, unless you have the required financial foundation, you can't grow. That's the reality. And there I do feel that while in the urban and semi-urban areas, 80% of the patients go to the private sector for their treatment and 20% go to the public governance, public hospitals or government hospitals. But it is not so in rural areas. It's mostly the other way around. Therefore, I would humbly request our government, not just government in Karnataka, but all the 25 states plus the federal government, in some way to make it easy for them to add value. Now, it's also in some way the responsibility of 4baseCare to first assess the size of the market in India and globally. Because Deepak and Sheetal are here, they have we specialized in startups earlier, but now we are not as focused on startups as we want it to be. They know very clearly that the failure of most of the startups happens because of two main reasons. First, they do not know the size of the market. They all make some assumptions sitting in their offices and think that's the real market. Now, when I say the real market, what I'm talking about is a market that can be accessed at as low a cost for startups as possible. If you spend too much money, yeah, there may be some market, but that has no value. So first is to assess the market size. Second is, I've already spoken, how to communicate the power of your idea to that market. The third, really, the first two were part of the committee. The second most important thing is to understand the differentiated value that your solution provides vis-a-vis your competitors in the world, not just in India. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by differentiated value? As economists say, Price is what you pay and value is what you seek. Why is it that you are ready to pay $900 for an Apple Watch, while there is a $30 almost similar watch from countries north of us? The reason is simply this. Apple guys are brilliant in demonstrating the owner's pride. They have communicated to the buyers that the value of having an, this is of course not Apple, the value.
What watch are you wearing? What is that?
No, this
Garmin?
is
Must be a
no,
Garmin.
no. This is the famous. What is it? My God, I forget the name. The famous exercise watch. It's also $900.
So clearly they did a nice job too, although this probably does more.
No, this does a lot of stuff. Anyway, so the reason why you and I, my son insisted that he went and got me when we were in Boston an Apple latest watch. I can't charge it every night. So therefore I used it for a week and then said, forget it. But the beauty of Apple is that they have convinced buyers that it is the value they get from that Apple Watch is more than $900. That is where what is called value leverage becomes very important. What is value leverage? Value leverage is value delivered per unit price. That is, if I charge you $10, and if I can convince you that my product will give you $30 of value, the value leverage I'm giving you is 3. So therefore, what I would say is I'm a great fan of mathematics right from my school days. So even today, I have Mathematica on my laptop. I use Mathematica every day. What needs to be done is you have this extraordinary data, diversified data. You've got lots of people like Shakuntala that have benefited. So what you need to do is to create a simple mathematical model that demonstrates that your value leverage is higher than the value leverage offered by your competitors. I think that I have found that if you can first assess the market that is reachable affordably, and second, your differentiated value or value leverage, rest is all. I mean, there is a third very important thing, which is talent. Getting the right talent with competence and values. I could say these are the 3 most important requirements for the success of an entrepreneur. Rest all money, everything is minor. But the challenge that you already started, that's the beauty in your case, is that you have to set your benchmarks on a global scale, not just India. Like, for example, in 1980s, middle 80s, we were just nothing, zero, almost zero. Still, we had the audacity of hope, audacity of aspirations. We sat down. One of the things that Infosys has always been very good at is what you could call strategizing. Anyway, this is not the occasion to go into details. At that time, what we did was we said, which is the company, technology company, that is best in human resources. At that time, Bill Hewlett was still at Hewlett Packard, though he was pretty old. David Packard, of course, had joined the government and all of that. And HP at that time was an extremely employee-oriented company. Later on, it changed when Carly Fiorina came and all of that. It changed. That's a different story. That's not what we are discussing. So we said, what are the good things that we can learn from HP? Second, we looked at Microsoft. Microsoft was pretty good in their employee stock option plan. We said we will go far beyond Microsoft. So we took good ideas from Microsoft, we learned from them, and then we created our own, which was much wider.
Also, the option plan was wider than Microsoft that Infosys created, Ms. Murthy?
In terms of percentage of the equity we gave,
Right.
in terms of percentage of people, oh, definitely.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but that's dollar and this is rupees, so that difference will always remain.
No, but today it's a 70 billion market cap company.
And then we distributed 19% of our equity to employees.
Wow.
And that's not
Founders
bad.
take note, 19% ESOP plan.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
So you're looking
Investors
at
also note.
somewhere around $33 billion at today's price.
$33 billion.
Yeah,
that's
at today's price. At today's price, if they had not sold it. For
That's
example,
insane. That's amazing.
God was kind to us. At the same, for example, my driver used to come in a better car than I was driving. And literally hundreds of peons and janitors and cooks at Infosys built their own houses in Jayanagar, in Banshangri, in BTM layout, etc., etc. Now they're all high-priced places. Some of them in Kormangala and all of that. So the point I'm making is, we learned that from Microsoft, their plan, etc. They had just, they had gone public in 85, if I'm not wrong.
That's right.
And I think somewhere around 87 or so, we looked at this. Then we looked at GE and we learned one thing during Jack Welch's time. Their focus on earnings per share, cost control, and the growth in earnings per share. If you went to Jack Welch's room, without doubt, he would then ask, tell me about last quarter, how much did the EPS part of your company grew? In other words, there were a lot of other things that we learned from GE as well as SEC in terms of transparency, accountability, etc. We went to Motorola, of course, unfortunately, it doesn't exist today. And we learned quality from Motorola. Remarkable company at that time, at least. So extraordinary. And we realized why quality is important. If you want to create trust, your product must work. Whatever software you develop simply cannot afford to fail. And Motorola was there. Then we contacted a company that was developing software for the satellite, manned satellite things. Because you can't fail in those. You can't fail. Of course, they were kind. They didn't give us all the details, naturally. But at least the way they worked, the process.
What did you learn from them?
Huh?
What was the big learning from the satellite software company?
You can't fail.
You just can't. How to build software that doesn't fail?
You
Period.
simply
Cannot
can't
fail.
fail. Finished. And if you don't want to fail, of course, at the same time, we have worked with SEI, Software Engineering Institute at Carnegie Mellon. Between SEI and this company, I don't want to talk about the name of the company, we learned how to improve our quality. Then we realized by visiting companies in the developed world, how the level of cleanliness was so high. We said we are not going to have separate toilets for officers and separate toilet for customers and separate toilet for other employees. We said we have only one type of toilet and anybody can go to it. And we had to educate our people why they should keep those toilets clean. Because I still remember once, we were very small in the 80s, Department of Electronics had sent a small Japanese company. The owner of the company came all the way. He had come to Delhi and he came to Bangalore because one of the joint secretaries in Department of Electronics said, no, here's this small company called Infosys. Why don't you talk to them? He came, we were on the 7th Main in Jayanagar in a bungalow. He came to my room, we talked and all, and he said, I want to use the restroom. So there was a restroom attached to my room. He said, no, is it okay if I go to the common restroom? Do you mind? He said, no, not at all. So there was a common restroom upstairs. We sent him there. He came back. And then he told us something. Now my confidence in your focus on quality is higher because your common toilet is also clean.
Oh, interesting.
He said, I have been to several companies in Mumbai, Delhi, etc. There, the CEOs and a few top people's toilets are all clean. But when I went to the common toilet, it was all dirty. So why I'm saying that is, you have to benchmark yourselves globally in every area of operation, in your field. At this today, it may appear like impossible. At least it appeared like that. Who the hell are we? We had no money.
But did you start thinking like this from the very beginning, Mr. Murthy? Was it from early days?
Yeah.
Like when did this happen? Like 1981, you co-founded the company.
No, actually, as I told you, we were pretty good in strategizing.
When were you strategizing, even before the company founded?
No, I was the general manager of software at PCS, Patni Computer Systems Limited, and Nandan, Chris, and Anandan I recruited as a trainee. Chris joined as a software engineer. Yeah, they were all working with me. They had good values, excellent people. So I said, look, I am now starting. If any of you want to come, you come. Anyway, so the point is this, and I did that because if you remember, in around 79, two extraordinary things happened in America, in the US. That's where my comment about strategizing becomes very important. I realized that those two were going to create opportunity for services companies in India like never before. What were the two things? One was the introduction of super mini computers. There were 32-bit mini computers, which were almost equivalent to 43XX computers of IBM. 4361, 4381, 4341, etc. 4331, almost equivalent. But they cost a small fraction of what IBM charged. DEC WAX 11780, WAX 11750, Data General MV8000, Prime 750, etc. These are all good examples. Then I said, oh, this is, and second, in towards the end of or middle of 80, they released what are called OLTP systems on these super mini computers, that is online transaction processing monitors. I don't want to talk about that here. Without an online transaction processing monitor attached to a database, there is no way you can do any commercial processing. All that an OLTP system does is it bunches a set of physical updates to the database as one logical update. And either it applies all of it 100% or none of it. If you commit it, then all the 100% updates are fine. If you roll back, what we call rollback, then none of the updates is applied. Therefore, the database integrity is maintained. Data General, DEC, HP, then Prime, they all announced it. IBM had a thing called CICS, and they used to charge an arm and a leg for that. Then I said, look, if I want to start the company, this is the time. You know why? Because in the US, when the price of these super mini computers became a small fraction of IBM mainframes, and when OLTP with the relational databases were available on these machines, I said that something extraordinary is going to happen. What of that? There'll be a huge explosion of computing in medium and small American companies because they can afford that. Number two, I also realized after talking to some friends that even larger corporations will have departmental computing in them. That is, finance itself will have one system, HR will have its own system, somebody else, they will all be linked, of course. I said, who the hell is going to develop software for these things? Because America was woefully short of software developers, even today, but at that time it was. Then I saw a lot of IIT fellows who are working with me. They had no jobs.
They didn't have jobs. Wow.
The PCS was one there, but there were many people outside. When I spoke to Anandan and others, they brought a lot of them. They hadn't got jobs.
There was this emerging market opportunity and there was a lot of talent.
There was a demand and there was a supply. All that we did was we connected supply and demand, and it just grew. So what I'm saying is that you need to look at that market. Once again, I come back to my original thing about market at an affordable price. And second, you need a differentiated value leverage of your product vis-a-vis your competitors. And third, high quality talent. Of course, still, I believe now they have changed. But till I left, the byline of the company was powered by intellect, driven by values. So if you look for professionals who are intelligent, but at the same time who have values, that talent is the most difficult one. These are the three things. I don't want to spend more time, but these are the three things that you should look at. And of course, in every attribute, maybe fourth. Look at the global benchmarking, not Indian benchmarking. Okay. The moment you do these 4 things that I said, I can assure you, it will be tough. Of course, in the beginning, we realized if we want to create disposable income, each one of us had to do at least 2%'s job. Why? Because we had to earn 2%'s revenue, one person earning 2%'s revenue. Therefore, you will save some money. Then you can buy new technology. Then you can think of a bigger office. Otherwise, where will you? Otherwise, those days there was no venture capital, nothing, zero. So that is where a lot of people criticize me, but I am such a votary of hard work. That
We're
I
not
have
going there, by the way. We're not going there. I was
I
told
know,
now you're
I know
going-
that.
we're
No,
not
no,
going
no,
there.
no, no. But
You don't
I'm
want that to
saying-
be the headline.
No, no. I am saying I am a huge beneficiary of hard work and discipline, and that's how we generated surplus.
Actually, I'm going to thank you for that. There's so many insights there, Mr. Murthy. I'm just going to ask one more question and then we'll wrap up. Actually, it's on this last point. So you founded the company. You guys founded the company in 1981. You didn't raise any external capital. You took the company public in 1993. Give the group, especially the founders and this team, a sense of how big was the company when you took it public. And today, you know, you have companies, of course, not 4baseCare because they're going to follow your footsteps now. Today, you have companies that raise ungodly amounts of money. They're not profitable. And, you know, they're the antithesis of, in many ways, the companies that you and others built, you know, in the IT services, you know, mega wave, if you will. So how big was it? What was the revenue of the company when you took it public in 1993?
You know, at that time, our revenue was 9.5 crores or something like that.
9.5 crores.
But this is
1993, yeah.
1993.
And profits?
Hmm?
And what were the profits? You remember the PAT?
Profit. Well, as long as I was in the company, I insisted on 30+% net income.
30%
Otherwise,
net income.
Nobody can walk into my room.
So there you go. So I wanted to end with this. I think, you know, as you all are early in your journey as 4baseCare team, as you're building your company. But I think Mr. Murthy and the team at Infosys have really shown the power of compounding, right? So 9 crores of revenue in 1993, and I think last year was 20 billion. What's the revenue run rate now?
Last year was about 19 billion.
19 billion.
I have to multiply and all.
Not a single paisa of venture capital raised, and I just checked the market cap, over $70 billion. So if you just follow Mr. Murthy's model, do those 4 or 5 things, I think 4baseCare will get there. Let's give Mr. Murthy a big round of applause. Thank you,
No,
Mr. Murthy.
but I must say one thing. What I have found is we were very lucky. We were in the right place at the right time. And fortunately, God was kind to us to see the opportunity. That's why late Robert Kennedy, he borrowed George Bernard Shaw and said, most people see things as they are and wonder why. I dream of things that never are and then say, why not? That essentially is what an entrepreneur is all about. Today, your job is much tougher, because there are zillions of companies around you. Talent is very difficult. Costs have gone up. And talent has dried up. It's not that easy to get. So I always say that today's entrepreneur is, in my opinion, 1,000 times smarter than we were. We were very lucky. And our situation was not as tough as your situation. Therefore, I have tremendous respect for you people. And as I said right in the beginning, when I see you people, I get so much of confidence in the country. But in other situations, I don't want to go into the details.
Let's not go there.
It depresses me. But it is you people who are going to build the new India. You know why? An entrepreneur converts the power of an idea into revenue, into wealth for himself or themselves and their investors. Or she creates lots of jobs with good disposable income. And most importantly, they pay taxes. Because without their tax, no public governance system will ever work. And that is where I believe that every public servant and every retired person like me must salute the entrepreneurs, because they are the ones, if there's one group that can change India, it is you people, not us. Not some government servant, not some minister, not some politician. It's only you people. Anyway, my best wishes.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Murthy.
Sir, it was great pleasure, and I think it is one of the rarest days in majority of us lives when we hear Narayan Murthy sir live in front of us. So one more round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Rajan. Now I invite Mr. Ganpati Subramaniam to felicitate Narayan Murthy sir, and Mr. Sharif to felicitate Mr. Rajan Anandan. Thank you all. We are coming to end of our program, but before that, as Hitesh mentioned, a recent feather in our cap is our precision lab at AIMS Jammu on a PPP basis. Dr. Shakti Gupta, who is the Executive Director and CEO of AIMS Jammu, he could not join us today, but he has graciously shared his video. So we will have a video capture now, which will be displayed on the screen.
Dear esteemed colleagues and friends, greetings from AIMS Jammu. It is a pleasure to share some key updates and milestones with you. Let's talk about AIMS Jammu. AIMS is an autonomous institution established by the Act of Parliament, and it is institute of national importance, accountable directly to the Parliament through Ministry of Health. The trinity of mission of AIMS is education, research, and patient care besides community work. So when we talk of the collaboration with the 4baseCare, it is always a pleasure for AIMS Jammu to collaborate with 4baseCare in establishing the Center for Advanced Genomics and Precision Medicine. This partnership marks a significant milestone in our commitment to integrating precision medicine into clinical care, especially in oncology. It will act as a regional referral hub. The center will not only cater to patients across India, but will also serve as a referral hub for neighboring countries. With its advanced capabilities, the center is poised to become a beacon of excellence in genomic testing and personalized cancer care. When we talk of making genomic testing accessible, as on today, many next generation sequencing tests are being sent abroad, often costing between 5 to 7 lakhs, depending on the sequencing depth and genetic complexity. Through this collaboration, we are making these tests accessible and affordable, bringing down the cost drastically to as low as 15,000 to 1 lakh. This has immense implications for timely and equitable access to advanced diagnostics. We are truly grateful to 4baseCare, especially Mr. Hitesh Goswami, CEO, and Dr. Sudarshan for their visionary initiative and unwavering support in making this center a reality at AIMS Jammu. Their efforts will benefit all category of patients, especially for cancer patients. I will also like to extend my best wishes for the launch of the Precision Oncology Advanced Genomics Laboratory in Bengaluru and the Global Center Diversity Atlas. I was very keen to be present for the inauguration, but due to unavoidable circumstances, including the flight disruptions, I regret being unable to attend. My best wishes for this new initiative and endeavor.
We have conveyed our sincere thanks to Dr. Shakti Gupta. As we come to end of this today's program, I invite Kshitij Rishi, who is COO and co-founder of 4baseCare, to have a vote of thanks and the closing remarks.
Thanks, Anjali. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for your time. I'll first start with my sincere gratitude and thanks a lot to Mr. Narayan Murthy, sir, for gracing us with your presence. The inspiring words we'll definitely keep in mind. The next, I'll thanks our guest of honor, Mr. Rajan Anandan. Because of you, there are a lot of startups who got the funding earlier in India when it was not necessarily existing. Thanks again. I'll thank our investors, Mr. Ganpati from Yali Capital, Sharif Saab, and the team Mount Judy, along with representatives from Season 2 who have backed us at the time of our need. I thank our collaborators, our esteemed guests, and our partners who are here. Most importantly, I thank the oncologists who have shown their trust in our science and also shown that things grown from India in deep tech can work. It's not that we have to depend on the Western part of the world. I thank the patients for their trust and their journey sharing part with us so that we can also understand how to best support them. Thanks, Shakuntala ma'am, for you to come. Most importantly, I'll thank the team 4baseCare. Because of all of you, we are here. And last and definitely not least, I'll thank the Lord Almighty, because of whom we are here. Because of His grace, everything moves, and it moves beautifully. Thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you all once again for joining this on this momentous day. We now invite you to proceed for the lunch and the lab visit. Thank you once again.
Cancer. It's never the diagnosis that anyone wants to hear. It can be a long, lonely, and complicated journey that can leave you feeling confused and hopeless. But don't worry, I'm here for you. I'm Oncology, your companion in cancer care. I'll be with you to guide and help you on every step of your cancer journey. During this journey, you're going to get all sorts of medical tests, and you'll be flooded with reports, analyses, and other information. OncoBuddy provides you with a simple way to securely digitize, store, and share all your medical records with your doctors and caregivers. Along the way, you'll need to talk with your treating doctor on an ongoing basis. OncoBuddy enables you to easily schedule consultations and connect with your medical provider virtually from your own home. You can also add caregivers to the call so they never miss a beat. Sometimes, it's important to talk with someone about your diagnosis or treatment. OncoBuddy's virtual community allows you to conveniently connect with experts and patients who will share their experiences and help answer any of your questions. And then there's our Knowledge Hub, which gives you access to videos, articles, and other exclusive and curated content on cancer care. Trust me, I know it won't always be easy. There will be good days and bad days, but I'm your companion, and together, we're going to meet this challenge head on. To make me a part of your journey, download the app today.